Good evening and welcome to That's the Spirit, episode 4 with myself, Julian Jenkins. We have another action-packed spiritual hour for you this evening with our amazing guest, Katherine Glass, as our main feature. And of course, we have an interactive Q&A session as well. And as you know, the show is all about interaction. It's all about you. So if you are here, wherever you are in the world, please pop a comment in, say hello, tell us where you're from, and we'll pop it up on the screen for you as well. Please feel free to post your thoughts as we go along. And of course, let's get your questions ready for the Q&A section a little bit later on. We'll also again be having our feature of the meditation and the one card reading. So I'm going to flip through a few things now. We've already got Chris Morgan, who's in the room, Mandy Moo, Anne-Marie, we got Leslie, we got Kim, and we got Denise. So there's plenty of people already coming onto the show, and I'm sure those numbers will increase as well. And you'll also know that we're looking to raise money for the Light and Harmony Spiritual Fund. So if any viewers are there, we'd ask you to make a donation this evening. You can see the donation link in the actual post itself, and we can make some donations and try and get our Light and Harmony Wellness Centre firmly off the ground. Well, when I started this program a couple of weeks ago, I never understood how much interest we were going to get, but also not just from the interest from people on Facebook, but also from interest from people in terms of guests, and the quality of guests have been truly amazing. So we're going to keep that bar extremely high this evening. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce our guest. Katherine Glass comes from a lineage of psychic sensitives and healers. She was born in Cowl, also known as the Veil or the Hood, long being considered a sign of true psychic ability. Katherine's been using her gifts to bring help and healing to others for more than 20 years. Is a graduate of the Barbara Brennan School of Healing. She studied under Tony Stockwell, Mavis Patilla, and John Holland, and trained at the Arthur Findlay College in Stansted, England. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, a big virtual clap for the one and only Katherine Glass. Katherine, how are you?
I'm great, Julian. Thank you for having me on. It's a pleasure. It's cool because I'm here in Boston and you guys are in the UK, and I'm wondering, these people that are on, are they in England or are they here?
Well, I think there's probably a good eclectic mix of people from all over.
Yeah.
If you can put your, if in the comment section, if you're going to pop your name in there, tell us where you're from and we can flip that up. I know for one person, Teresa Bird, she is in Perth in Australia.
Wow.
I know Chris, she is from the UK, and Mandy is not too far away as well. So and she's looking to share this. So when we do these things, and I was conscious that that we were going to have a conversation before this evening, and we sort of linked in for 5 minutes, but that 5 minutes turned into quite a passionate conversation for about an hour.
Yes,
and we got on really, really well, and it actually inspired me to do a video to talk about the things we discussed. But you know, for those people who are getting to know you and who you are, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, Katherine? Introduce yourself. You know, when did Spirit first come to you, and where you are on the journey at the moment?
Oh boy. Okay. Well, it's kind of a dual thing because Spirit came to me clearly as a medium in a conscious way much later when I was older. But actually, as a child, you know, I was extremely intuitive and psychic, and I know that because my mother told me so. Literally, I was born from a lineage of transcendentalists. You know, Ralph Waldo Emerson. I'm in that line, and I think my soul chose wisely in this life to come into a family circle that was not freaked out by the fact that there were, you know, spiritual gifts. So it was never poo-pooed or shut out of me. I grew up around tarot cards and Ouija boards and astrology and truth seeking, and my grandparents were theosophists and transcendentalists. So it was common in my home to have, you know, phenomenon be discussed or mentioned or just taken for granted. So when my mother saw symptoms in me as a very young child, for example, she would read to me and I would say, "Oh, mommy, I know what's going to happen." And I would, you know, verbatim tell her the next 2 pages what takes place, and, "Oh, you're psychic," you know. And so that just continued as I got older. And then tragically, when I was 6, my sister passed away. She was 17 and she was older than me. obviously 12 years. And she died very quickly and suddenly from an illness. And I think the veil really opened then. And also I found out many years later that my mom's mom, my grandmother Gertrude, was also a medium and a healer, hands-on healer, but not practicing. Like, she didn't have a profession. But my mother used to beg her to do the Ouija board with her. And she would say, oh, but I already know what they're going to say. You know, like, it wasn't fun for her. It wasn't a cool thing, entertaining wise. It was a serious, deep spiritual path for her to commune with the spirit realm. So as I grew older, having had that loss of my sister, I think that something just stayed connected for me. And I can remember being very little saying, I don't want to see a spirit. I don't ever want to see a spirit. So I shut it down somehow consciously, because unlike many of my colleagues, Julian, other mediums that I've met along my journey here, they often have stories that are really cool and like spectacular. Like, I can remember being 2 years old in the crib and faces and spirits coming to me, and I didn't know how to shut it off. And I see people walking around people, and I never had any of that. I was just always extremely psychic and intuitive. Could read people without even knowing I was reading them. I would be predicting things, didn't know they were predictions, until much later in my 20s, when I decided to become a massage therapist and get my hands on people. And that's when it blew open very strongly. And I was very, very attracted to the healing arts. And I left theater and performing arts, and which I was living in New York for at the time. And I moved to California, and I trained to be a healer. And that's when spirit was ready for me to be ready to stop being afraid of the astral realm and to really open my heart and mind to my gifts. And so I did that, and it was very consecutive and methodical. I became a hands-on massage person, and then I became an energy healer, and I trained for several years at Brennan. And then I studied clairvoyant training for 5 years. And then it was during that clairvoyant training where I was learning not to do hands-on healing at a table, but to sit across from a person and do a psychic reading, an actual reading, just reading, no cards, no tools, just reading, clairaudiently, clairvoyantly, clairsentiently, all the clairs. And it was like falling off a log for me. It was effortless and so easy and fun. And then one day during one of those readings, I said, "Who's David?" And the woman I was reading said, that's my son. He's passed away. And that's when it really blew open like a horn. And that was when I was probably 33, maybe. And now I'm 55. So you do the math.
It sounds a wonderful journey. And
it's a wonderful journey.
Yeah. And, you know, we're all very lucky to be blessed with spirit. And when it comes in and comes out, you talked a lot about your training and things like that. Were there key pointers or key things that, you know, penny drop moments in those trainings where somebody gave you a piece of information, a tidbit of information that all of a sudden just allowed you to click in? Because there's a lot of people who are watching or were watching the replays will be looking to say, okay, you know, it comes easy to you. It's this, but what techniques do you use, and how do you get those connections, and how do you deliver those messages?
You mean specifically with mediumship, channeling? Or channeling?
Yeah, it can be that, or even working psychically, you know?
Yes. You know, for me, honestly, it's always been clairaudient. So I hear words first in my head, and I've always been like the one who would sing along with the radio, having never heard the song, but kind of singing the words well, because I'm just very clairaudient, extremely so. So for me, I would sit in the way, the techniques we were taught, for example, you know, sitting with your feet flat on the floor, closing your eyes, lining up your spine, connecting to your chakras, your energy field, and becoming aware of your energy lifting and coming up, 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 and very much around the crown. We would visualize, this was in Brennan School. This is the first time I learned to sort of channel and open that part consciously. And to imagine a beam of, or a column of energy here, it's sort of your hotline to the divine, to the spirit realm. And of course, always affirming, you know, light and wonderful, highest good. And this exercise was specifically to channel or connect with spirit guidance, your own spirit guidance. She didn't say guides, but she said your guidance. And so I assumed she meant someone that was going to talk to me and guide me. And so that was the first experience. And I just remember feeling very full of light, and I kept visualizing and feeling and seeing and knowing, like knowing I'm in a brilliantly lit environment of energy and space, and I felt very, very right is the only word I can explain. I felt home. I felt like, oh, this is familiar. And so when you practice that and allow your mind's going to be human. You're going to notice you have an itch and you're going to, say, oh, is this working? But if you can just kind of quiet that and let that float by, and just stay and keep visualizing yourself expanding and getting very, very big and full of light yourself. You sort of blend with that light that you're experiencing. I call it light because it feels very bright behind my eyes and it looks very white golden to me. And then there was words. There was immediate, like, we love you, my child, or, you are safe, we are with you. I would hear words like that. And then the exercise or the assignment would be to now take your hand and sink into the thigh of the person you're working with and go in with your inner vision and see what you see, hear, feel, or know. And you just rest your hand there with the intention to look inside that person's body, because this was an energy healing training too, remember. But I was seeing a skiing accident and this person broke their femur or whatever that bone is called. And I was seeing a dirt road and a truck. So I was getting all this information. So when you go in and you get still and you stay lifted because your vessel needs to be aligned, you can really connect and just trust. It's really an act of surrender and faith, I think.
It was interesting because we had the conversation on Monday about what we were going to discuss this evening. And then I have a development circle, and it ranges between sort of 15 or 20, 25 people within a development circle in a local church. And it's funny that there was a couple of things when we were speaking. And actually, I met a lady outside my house who I work with. Her daughter's here, actually watching tonight, Lisa. And she's a healer. Now, when she started to do Reiki, she started to find that the messages started to come through to her, whereas mystically she wasn't working before. And you've used a few words then. It's definitely where I am now in terms of creating that space, that nothingness where you can allow thoughts to come in and thoughts to go, but it's about creating that space and sending your light, etc. And what I explained to the lady was, and in Circle on Monday, is I think when people are focusing on Reiki or whether they're healing and they're allowing themselves to park, I always say park their human to the left-hand side.
Yes.
That's when spirit fill that space, they fill that void. And that's when all the messages and everything start to come through. And it's interesting. You said it. You said it on Monday, and then I met this Reiki teacher who said exactly the same thing. And then I thought to myself, wow, how many mediums do I know now who started from a healing background? Who started from a background of Reiki or healing. And it was interesting, again, you mentioned Tony Stockwell. When we were working with him a couple of weeks ago, he was talking about how he would start with, if he was going to start now saying, right, I'm going to teach somebody mediumistic skills, let's actually start from a trance. Let's start from a trance standpoint and build it out from there, rather than going from, mediumistic and then going into trance, because it's about quieting in that mind and having that space and then being able to, allow spirit to come in and use, and work with you, if you like. Yes.
And that, Julian, is when it's quite strong. I've noticed for me, having been doing this for almost 30 years now, I've trained with the best, so many beautiful teachers and different techniques. And to students out there, I would say, and I'm always a student. I mean, I still study, I'm still learning. But take everything you can get and put it in the pot, because you won't go any one direction. You will become your own unique vehicle of healer, medium, trance channel, whatever you are, or a combination thereof, that's specifically unique to you and your own instrument. And I've been also taught methods where we don't go in and meditate first. We just go to sit with the sitter and we're off and running, and bam, what do you get? Tune in. Spirit is a river that's always running over here in the next dimension, in the next room. There's a song playing. All you have to do is shift your focus and you're there.
Yep.
That comes with practice and time. Some people, I think students can get too caught up in the technique of, I have to sit and I have to get in this right space and the power, and well, what is that? And am I there? And I don't know. And, it's more like relax into it and allow your natural state, which is spirit, to expand your boundaries and open to connect to that which you already are, and just allow that to bubble up in you and flow. And when you're actually with someone you're going to read for, it's even easier because their people are there with them. And so you can invite them and in any way you choose to draw closer to you. And you'll start getting, feelings or images or it's everything about this work is getting out of your own way, and it's all about our ego. I'm going to share a really quick, brief story. When I first went to Stansted for the first time, and I took a class in platform mediumship, okay? My mediumship had opened up. Actually, I've realized I had been doing mediumship for quite a while, but I didn't know it was technically mediumship, I guess, until I decided to go take a platform class. And I dove right in. I signed up for advanced level and I said, I'm going across the pond. I'm going to do this. And so I signed up and took the course, and it was wonderful. And at some point you have to do a demonstration in front of the whole lesson, the whole circle, the whole group of all the classes, all the tutors. I was terrified. And I just remember being behind that curtain waiting to go on. And all I could do was like shake and freak out and think, oh my God, what have I done? What am I doing? But along with that, was out of nowhere, thoughts that weren't my own, was I was hearing a song, a folk song from the 60s. I was seeing a woman with dark hair and a split part in the middle, and she reminded me of someone from an American movie called Love Story. And this was many minutes before I was to go on stage, but I couldn't shake it. So I had to jump in the river, and I got up there and I delivered it. And it was probably one of the most accurate messages I have ever given, with the best evidence. It was my first platform, and spirit will do that with you because they want to get you hooked. And you get this great experience, and it's all details. She died in October of breast cancer. She was 32, and she baked chocolate chip cookies. And one of the tutors said, oh no, they don't have chocolate chip cookies in England. That's not right. And the one hand that went up in the audience who could claim this spirit, only one person, and that's what you want to dial it down. She said, actually, she lived in America. She married a filmmaker, and I was her nurse, and she did bake chocolate chip cookies. I was floored at even with that level of nerves and insecurity and my own ego mind in the way. Spirit was strong and held me there. And that's what spirit will do for you when you jump in that river and trust what you hear, see, know, feel, and get.
I wholeheartedly agree. It's a great story, and thank you for sharing that with us. And I know there's a lot of people in the room who are saying they're getting amazing things out of this already. So we're definitely on the right track for the audience that we're talking to.
And granted, one more thing, when you go to Arthur Findlay, of course, and you've been there, Julian, the energy's so strong that it practically carries you to do messages because there's so much spirit there.
Well, the first night, I couldn't sleep the first night, and I was laying in bed all night, and I was going, what am I going to do with this? Because I just had too much going on in me. And then when I woke up in the morning, somebody said, well, why didn't you just use that for distant healing? And I was like, yeah, what a great idea. If I got this energy in bed tonight, I'm just going to say, right, only energy that I've got, let's give it to other people to have some distant healing. But I've got a very, very similar story. When I was I started in, I've been with spirit all my life, and I was doing circles and things like that, and then I was asked to go on the rostrum, and I was in a very small place in Wales called Penarth, and it was a very small room, and the lady that was running it was so enthusiastic. She was beautiful. She was amazing. And she said, oh, do you want a cup of tea? Do you want a cup of tea? And everything else. And I was like, yeah, okay, I'll have a cup of tea. So she said, I'm going to go and sit on the stage now. So I sat on the stage, and I sort of opened myself up, but I said, come on, guys, I've never done this before. I'm going to give myself completely to you. Let's do this. Oh. And I can remember opening my eyes, and I had all of these people walk in and stand next to the people who were already in the room.
Yes.
And it was like, it was spirit. I could physically see 8 or 9 people who were stood next to people who were in the room. And I said to the gentleman, I gave him a message. I said, your dad stood behind you, and blah, 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 blah. He's like, yeah, no, blah, 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 blah. And it was just unreal. And I think because I just let myself go, But the problem was the second time I did it,
All right.
I actually and I started thinking about it and I always liken it to golf. The first game of golf you have, you do all right.
Beginner's luck.
Yeah, and then the second game of golf, you start thinking about where do you put your feet and how do you hold the club, and should I be swinging it this way or should I be swinging that? And those sort of things really, they're the things then that sort of put you on the back foot a little bit. Whereas if you just go with it, it runs. So what you're saying is absolutely spot on. Yeah, can you hear me? Hello. Oh, there's a shame. Can you hear me? I think we've had a little bit of a technical difficulty, but I'll just see if we can bring Katherine back in now. Katherine, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
It just disappeared. You just went out.
Okay. That's the magic I have. I got the ability just to disappear at any given moment. Yeah, you can ask my friends. But that's the sort of thing, and I think those sort of experiences really, are so important. I just want to say in the audience as well now, the viewers, if you can get your questions ready in about 10 minutes time, we'll have a questions and answer session. It's
a real dance, learning, doing mediumship, studying technique, practicing, and also letting go and being fresh and in the moment like the beginner. It's a real blending of energies, and there are times when you get tired and you need a rest and a break, and there are times when you're really on and excited. But it's true, Julian, when you start trying too hard, I think that all the training is very good for decorum, how to be on a stage, how to be with an audience, how to be with a sitter, how to get out of your own way. There's a lot to learn and a lot to practice. And the rest comes with you and spirit. It just comes with your instrument,
And one of the things I've brought in recently, which I think has really helped, because, again, it's about, I keep saying, getting your human out the way, is when I start, because I used to do lots of meditation before I actually started doing readings, and actually, you sort of touched upon it. I'm the other way now. I think doing lots of meditation before readings is actually quite passive, and it doesn't allow the energy to build and flow. I think meditation is great for your own personal development when you're in a room, and that's great, and then get those things. But actually, when you're reading, you want to be right. Okay, I'm creating that space. Blah blah blah. Off we go. Okay.
Yeah.
Similar to it, and I'm using a lot of mindfulness techniques. So just focusing on the breath, allowing good thoughts to come in and letting them go, allow bad thoughts to come in and let them go, and then just being able to have the ability to speak from your soul center.
Yes,
is
exactly.
really going, because then the difference then between your thought and the information you get from soul center. And I think for me now, and in the group, it seems to be working really, really well. Have you tried mindfulness, or have you got your own way of doing things and off you go?
Yeah, I mean, I know what mindfulness is, forms of it. I've done lots of different, all the years of training as a healer. There's so many modalities of meditation, and certainly mediumship meditation. I mean, to plug Tony, he's got incredible CDs if you want guided meditation to prepare for mediumship. Meeting your spirit guides, going up to a bench. There are things you can, like active meditation, and then there's passive, like you said, where you're just really allowing your breath, your presence, always tuning into the breath first and foremost, which brings you back to the moment, which is mindfulness.
Yes.
And staying with what's happening here and now. And then you begin to be aware of your body sensations. That's also mindfulness. Just stay in the moment. And what starts to happen is your mind starts to just clear and sort of soften, and you kind of feel like your lines disappear, your outline kind of disappears, and you kind of just get very big and fat and expanded. Yeah. And you feel like you could sit for a very long time once you get there. It's getting to that point that takes repeated practice, getting to the 15, 20 minute, 25 minute mark. That's when you start getting deeper. And it takes a lot of time and practice to do that, and discipline.
If there was one thing that we've all had them, the reading that doesn't go, doesn't go according to plan. That's the way to. How could, I think, and I've said it a million times, and if people watch the show, they'll hear me say it. But Lynn Probert said the very first night at Arthur Findlay, we remember the no's, they remember the yeses.
I beat myself up worse than anyone. I analyze every gallery, everything.
How do you re-energize yourself and not be overcritical on yourself after doing a reading or being, doing something mediumistically?
With experience and recognizing that my ego is involved now and it doesn't belong there, and you must not compare yourself to anyone ever or any other mediums. And of course, everyone's human and they do it, but you must stop yourself and discipline yourself immediately and say, I did my best work tonight, and don't make excuses. Just learn from what you did observe, like, oh, I didn't stay focused enough on that long enough. Or if you're going to analyze it, be constructively critical and then put it to bed and let it go. And just say, thank you, Spirit. One thing Mavis Patilla said to us, it was so beautiful. After every demonstration she does, she always goes and says, she doesn't worry about what the people thought. She worries about what Spirit thought. And she says, Spirit, did I do well for you tonight? Was I a good messenger? Did I serve you well? And remember, your job is to get their words and thoughts across to the people you're reading for and bring healing for that connection. So worrying less about the egos in the audience, the human incarnated brains, and more about how you're serving Spirit. And that right there will help you stay connected to the true force of the energy, and that will keep your mediumship more pure.
And is that, and it's fantastic, all of these tidbits. I think if somebody's making notes here, they're going to have about 3 or 4 pages full of information, really. Those techniques that you use, and I think sometimes a lot of these things that we talk about, it's when you really put under pressure. I've done rostrum work, and I've watched people on the rostrum, and they're given a great message, and they get lots of yeses, and then they hit a no, and then you see the human kick in. And then all of a sudden,
here's the best tip I got about that. I'm going to interrupt you, Julian. Don't hear no, hear look again.
Okay.
That's Paul Rees right there in Wales. Look again. He taught me. Not no, look again and say, okay, hold on a minute. Let me reinterpret that. Let me go back. And 9 times out of 10, your sitter will go, oh, yes, I know what you mean. It's all in the interpretation, I think. Now, yes, I know that there are mediums that say, well, you're not worth your salt if you can't just sit and have a chat with the Spirit right there. And he says, hi, my name's Fred. I died of a heart attack and I'm 84 and I liked peanuts with almonds on them and almond colored chocolate or something, detail. Yeah. But unfortunately, it's through the mind of the medium at work. And we only have a certain storehouse of exposure in our minds. So, one medium who was teaching me said, if you've never been mauled by a polar bear or had that someone that be mauled by a polar bear, the first cause of death being mauled by a polar bear might not get through your mediumship brain because you don't hold that experience in your awareness. So sorry, my dog's barking. So you have to cut yourself a break and give yourself the no as stop looking at the yes as the goodies and see the no as the good part of the meat of being a medium, a good medium. Then you're not afraid of them anymore.
No, and you're right. And it is about letting yourself go. And I think one of the things that we talk about all the time now is leaving your inhibitions at the door as well, and specifically in development circle, people come in and they sit down and say, oh, I don't hear, I don't see, I can only get this, and I've said, look, we've got to stop saying that.
Right. Stop affirming it because you're cutting
exactly. Yeah. Let's stop saying I can't see, because guess what? You're not going to see. So you need to be thinking to yourself, right, I can see, I can hear, I can be, let's get all the players lined up.
I'm willing. We are of service here. This is what it is. If you're going to be a medium or a healer or channel healing energy, you are in service to the divine, to the Spirit. You're just the facilitator. You're not doing it. It's not you're the extension cord. You're the middleman. And the more you stay with that, I'll give you an example right here from today. I just did a reading for a lady and who sadly lost her son. And there was a situation, and I was hearing a particular word of a particular substance, and I edited it. I said, oh, no, it wouldn't have been that. That doesn't fit. And sure enough, after the reading was over and we were talking about the situation, which I got the gist of, but there was this one detail that I neglected to mention. And she said the name of that substance. And I was like, oh, man, I knew it. He told me, but I cut him off. I edited it.
Yeah.
Don't edit.
No, give what you see in it, and that's the key thing too. I think, a lot of these things as well is how we deliver that, because obviously some messages you need to probably, I'm not saying sugarcoat them, but also be obviously sensitive in terms of the way you deliver that.
Right,
And
right.
and a lot of that is given by, the feelings and energies that you've got from the person you're talking to and working with.
Yes.
And then, because some of them you can give a little bit harder than others, because you'll accept to do it. But one thing you're right is if you get something, certainly give it.
Yes, you have to remember that this is a human being. It's a soul to soul connection going on here, and so even if your person is uptight or whatever, obviously the more warm and open they are, the easier the connection may be for you, the medium, but your job is to bring through healing presence. So you can't force them to accept it, but remember there's a soul in there of the person you're reading,
Yeah, and that is one thing, again, when you're teaching, is trying to get and you've just said it perfectly, soul to soul.
Well,
That
that's
person,
yeah,
role to
Tony's
the
actually
person.
been working on that. I don't want him to get mad and say, "Hey, you're stealing my." He was just talking about soul readings, which I've been doing most of my life anyway, but he's putting it in a context that really speaks to the mediumship sitting, soul to soul. Yeah.
So let me ask you a question, because again, there's lots of people in the room who are trying to develop themselves spiritually or mediumistically or through their psychic skills. How do you work it? So let's say you're doing a rostrum, you're on the stage and everything's going great, and you've just finished a reading, and a lady walks in and she says, "I want to speak to that gentleman in the front," and the gentleman in the front is sort of,
yeah.
ashen faced. He spent the last 20. You've noticed he spent the last 20 minutes looking at the ceiling. He wants to be everywhere else apart from where he is.
Those are the ones that always get the message first. Usually, they're the ones who need to be there the most.
Yeah.
That's
So
what I heard.
how do you break those barriers down? How do you get them to open up and engage?
I don't focus on them. I don't even look at them. I will look off and fix my gaze and stay with spirit and ramble off what I'm getting. And whether he shows or admits it or not, usually those people don't come alone by themselves. They're usually with someone, and that someone will say, "Yes, yes, you do. Yes, she is. That's right," and they can't deny that this connection is happening. Whether they admit it to you or not during the demonstration, that's not your business. That's up to them. I will often, when it happened to me, I was doing a gallery in San Diego, and there's this curmudgeon-y guy, old shipping guy in the back of the room like this, with his legs crossed. And he's like the head honcho of the business that all these workers were here for this gallery, worked in the boats and stuff. And I start going on about this name and this event on a boat, and I'm describing the slippery floor and how he died and all this stuff. And the guy back there is like, it was all for him, this message, and his wife, just, he couldn't deny it. And I said to him, I started asking him things like, "Do you understand?" And he'd say, and I'd say, "Uncross your arms, open your leg." Like, I was right out there, and I told him, and the audience laughed, and that lifted the energy. And then he kind of felt in the spotlight because everyone was laughing. So there are times you have to feel it. Like, is it appropriate to point this out and kind of make levity of it? Or I will say at the beginning of every gallery, I will say, "How many here are skeptics?" And a few will raise their hand, and I'll say, "That's good. You should be smart. You should be skeptical. You shouldn't believe everything you hear right off the bat." Cynical is harder to work with. I said, I can work with skeptic, but cynical is tough, because cynical is, "This is crap. Prove it." That's an energy right there that will be a barrier. And I explain that to them. The best way you're going to have the best evening tonight is to just open your hearts and minds to any possibility and allow me to do the best job I can do for you. And just put it right out there on the table. Now, that may be an American thing. I don't know if that would fly over there in the UK. But we're very direct here.
Yeah, well, I think some of it can be, because some of the churches that you work at, whether you're on a rostrum or doing what you're doing, you do get skepticals, and you get a lot of cynics as well, and you often wonder why they're there. Are they there to be sort of proven wrong, or I don't know? But if there was one tip you would give in terms of platform reading, what would it be?
Oh, geez, have fun, enjoy it, open your heart and arms and dance, and really let yourself be spirit, connecting to spirit, and have your clear intention to serve and be of service, and just visualize before you go on there everything being wonderful, the connections, the energy, the spirit connections, and just see it as a wonderful evening. That's all you need to worry about. You don't have to make a specific plan or try to get spirits ahead of time and work from your memory backwards, and that'll just confuse you.
No, very much. And I think that's, for us, my dog's barking now. It must be spirit, I think. I think it's all going on with dogs. I think my dog will probably start your dog barking now. They're talking to each other. We're going to get some questions coming in now as well.
Okay.
Has anyone got any questions? If they can pop them in the sidebar there. But what's been the basis of, like, because sometimes we talk about setting intentions as well, because some people say, I always get grandmothers, I always get children, I always get
oh yeah, that's always a learning curve. Yeah
So how do you set your intention before a meeting or a reading?
Like I said, I just see it being a healing evening, for the highest good of everyone who's attending, that they might receive clear, evidential healing messages that they came to receive. And then I open it up and trust spirit to take care of that, and then I let it go, Julian, because I can't try to be in control of it and be surrendering to spirit at the same time. You have to be aware. It is juggling. You have to be aware of people's energy in the audience. You have to make sure they're not bored and falling asleep. You have to keep moving along, but you want to be detailed. So it's a wonderful, dance, and it isn't for everybody. Some people are better with the one-to-one sittings, and some people are better. I'm really best with either one-to-one, small group. The larger the gallery, then all those spirits are coming in, and I'm getting all these names. Who's Bob? Who's Frank? Who's William? And they're all shouting out, and I have to have a chat with them sometimes and say, guys, please, one at a time. Let me do my work per person, and I will get to you as best I can. That would be a tip to prepare, because the more people in the room, the more spirits are going to be in the room. And I actually like to always bring another medium. When I do a big room, I want 2 mediums. First of all, I think it's more interesting for the audience. You've got a double chance of getting that many more spirit messages across in a certain amount of time. And it's really fun to work with another medium. You can ping pong, take turns, one-to-one, or you can do 3 messages and then they do 3, or you can do a full half hour and then they do a full half hour, however you want to do it. But it's nice to share the energy. For me, it's less draining at the end if I have shared the platform with another medium.
Yeah, I enjoy sharing, and it's what's nice sometimes as well when you're really well connected. You pick a dual link and you can work those things as well. It's funny that Teresa says that my sister-in-law always comes to me as her brother wouldn't listen. She's still with me many years later, not him though. So there's a lot of things that go on there. I just want to get a few questions in. We got Alison here saying, how do you get more info? As I just see in my third eye in here. But get small information. How can you work it so you get a lot more information?
More information meaning what, Alison? More details?
Yeah, detail in terms of
Okay, so that happened today. I was doing my reading with my one-to-one today, and I was speaking to this woman's son, and it was lovely, and it was swimming along, and it was clipping and happening and fast, and then there was this pause, and I was just like, okay, I'm sitting with you now. I'm just going to stop and connect even more. The way to do that is to say, please draw close to me and let that spirit come in really close. Let me feel you if you want. And sort of just say, share yourself with me. Show them I'm curious about you. What do you want me to know? Invite them with a question. What would you like me to know? And then you've got to trust whatever you get. I got this random thing. I'm going along with these little details, like simple things. And then all of a sudden I'm shown an African safari with monkeys. And I'm like, okay, this doesn't make any sense, but I'm going to give it to you. And she said, yes, we went on an African safari when he was 15. I was like, what? And it seemed so random, but it came from a feeling of his love and enjoyment for the beauty of nature and animals. And he showed me this scene of, I thought it was symbolic. I didn't know it was literal. And I just told her what I got. I'm seeing monkeys. I feel like African safari. He's giving me this scene. And she said, yes. So Allison, you just need to slow down, surrender, and enjoy the interchange with the spirit energy and let it come close.
And she said, thank you. So
You're welcome.
I think you've answered the question. Chris has said, my mediumship can be a little bit slow on times. Are there any tips to improve this?
Your own energy. You got to get your own energy up. If your energy is low, you're having trouble connecting with the frequency of spirit. You're in different rooms. So you want to get into the room with spirit. Now, I believe they work with us and they try to come down to our level too a little bit, but we have to lift ourselves and go up to them. So make sure you're breathing, make sure you're getting hydrated enough. And also, don't try too hard. Like, don't make your spine burn. My back used to burn. I was like reaching for spirit, Just relax and let them be right here. They're right here. And just relax into it. And usually that will help the connection. And once the connection comes, the energy starts to build because you get excited. You get linked with that vibration of spirit.
And that's wonderful. And I've got to admit, your energy is amazing. So, when you're sat there and you're talking about relaxation, I can feel it. I can feel that energy. And I think one of the things that comes through in your face when you're saying relax and everything is the trust. And Teresa says that the trust is a big thing, but you trust spirit to always be there for you. And I loved it when you said about it being a river that's always there. It's always running. And it's about being able to move your focus, if you like.
Yes, it's like I always use the example when I explain to a group of people or to a client. I say, so we're in the next room, the song Roxanne is playing by the Police on the radio, but we're talking here and we're not paying attention. And if we just shift our focus, we'll hear Roxanne, it's like, oh, that's the Police. Okay. And you just shift. And there you might see you might see a scene, you might see a running river and pine trees and a little boat and a man fishing, that may be your first link. You might get a name. I often get names of living people too that the deceased know in the family, and they've learned that's how they link with me. They get my attention, and then when I get it accurate and the person I'm reading for recognizes the name, then we're off and running. So you start to learn how spirit works with you, and you can also direct them and ask them how you want them to work with you. Like, give me a symbol for birthday. Or you can tell them, my symbol for birthdays is 3 candles. My symbol for alcoholic is brown whiskey in a glass with rocks, And when you see that, that may mean alcoholic. It doesn't mean beer. You know what I mean? So you have to make your own language with the spirit.
That comes with experience, doesn't it? And also building
and I do struggle with confidence still to this day. I get anxious a little bit. I get nervous. I get afraid. Sometimes I don't want to do it because I think I'm going to mess up and be judged. The biggest thing we're all afraid of is judgment, is being judged. And one way to nip that in the bud is before every event, you can say, look, guys, I'm here to serve you and do my best. And the more, like I said, the more willing and open you can be to support me, the more confident I'm going to be to do the work. I'm just right out there with it. Now, maybe that's not proper, but I got over the thing of I'm up here to prove to you, because that just put me in too much stress, No,
it does. We got a great question from Anne-Marie, really, and I'm going to go and do some trance. But she said, sometimes my voice changes and my speech slows down. Is this okay to use?
That's fabulous. That's very interesting. The only thing I've ever felt with the spirit's energy is I have felt physically like I couldn't breathe because the lady who passed couldn't breathe. And I'll tell them, ooh, that's a little close. Step back. It's uncomfortable. My voice has changed when I've consciously channeled other beings, like, multidimensional beings, not human deceased people. But I can hear their voice in my head and imitate it if asked, but I don't do that. I was taught that but what you're doing, organically may just be how your energy responds. If it's not disturbing you and it's not too slow, so that you're losing your attention of your receiver, then I don't see a problem with it.
Mandy comes and says that it's quite a long one. I don't know whether it'll fit all on the thing. We won't be able to see each other. But she says that you mentioned you use spirit boards earlier, and she's bought one as well as part of a.
I don't use them, Mandy. Actually, I do not. I grew up around them.
Right. Okay. And
I
is there
don't
a
use
reason
them.
you don't use them?
Yeah, they scared the crap out of me. When I was 7, my mom made me sit down and do it with her, and he goes, Kathy, ha ha, I not dead. I'm not JC. I'm below. And I just freaked out. It was like a mischievous spirit because he knew I was in fear. So I attracted that, I think, and I opened myself to that. It was just mischievous, and I was only 7, and I think children shouldn't be opening that way to spirit. They're already open, and it's not ideal. If you're a training, studying adult, and you're sure and clear of how you want to work, I guess there's no harm in using a spirit board. It's like I would prefer automatic writing to a spirit board. I don't know why. It feels more intimate and less open, like a mall. You're kind of inviting the astral world in with a spirit board. I don't know. When it's your own instrument, you feel more in control, like with writing. So there's 2 thoughts of that. The spiritualists say there's no fear. You don't have to be protected. You already are in the light. And I believe that. But I've also had the experience of feeling funky energies around me. And so that's when you have to discern for yourself.
I love the word funky energies. She actually said that her spirit board is mischievous as well. We got
bored spirits up there.
Yeah, no, tell me about it. Kim Bass says, I'm feeling everything at the moment. How can I connect better? Because the pain and everything with them is overwhelming at the moment. So I don't have messages yet. She's only a fledgling.
Yes, darling. So you're very, very sensitive. You're already an empath. You're very empathic. So that's the easy door that spirit has found to communicate through to you with. So again, you've got to make your own plan how you want to work. Organically, you're always going to go to that because that's your natural, like mine is hearing first. But as you work, you will develop other avenues of receiving information. Your vision will improve, your clairvoyance, your clairaudience will improve, your direct knowing will improve. And you can also ask your spirit guide team, we all have one, and the spirits you're working with, please step back. Don't bring it so heavily or I cannot do this work. Please, you need to step back. And just direct them gently but firmly. This is my personal space. This is my physical vessel, and I don't need to experience it that strongly. You learn to command yourself, and you feel much more in charge of the energy, and it's nice.
We just got one final question. Karen Longmore says, one thing I'd love to know is how do I get rid of anything negative, please? Thank you so much.
Well, there are lots of techniques for that. There's smudging, burning white sage, opening windows and burning the white sage, which is called smudge. A salt in the corners of the house, yes. Lemon water and salt in the dish with, sprinkling through the house, kind of way the holy men do. But mostly, I like to use mantra. I call in, God's vibrational frequency with God, 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 Ram, 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 Krishna, Krishna, Christ, Christ, Christ. The higher vibrational frequency sound vibration will help clear and keep away like a shield. Water always works if you're standing in water. The lower entities can't really get through your field. I've learned that. But mostly you have to be strong in your own soul's light, your own core light. And that's, I believe, what the spiritualists who I learned from and Stan said when they talked about, oh, you don't need all this protection. You're in the light. When you're sitting in that power, they call it the power. It's your spiritual light, the power of love, creation, God, consciousness. And when you expand your own true original beingness, which is always who you are, without the covering of the earth suit and the ego, you are pure, beautiful golden light. And that comes right from your core here, right? The third chakra. Mm-hmm. You can just literally open it like a lotus and just expand it all around you, 360 degrees, and just permeate that. And in that space, you cannot feel negativity. You're just beautiful, perfect spirit in that energy. So see and affirm that you are that light. And then you just say, no, you may not enter here. You are not welcome here. Back off. And eventually they get bored with trying and they'll flit off to someone else who's weaker. You see, we have doorways that open to interfering energies and mischievous spirits. Fear is a doorway. Guilt is a doorway. Abandonment can be a doorway. when you're feeling low or ill or bad on yourself, talking down to yourself, depression is a doorway. They feed on those lower frequencies and they want to hang around you. So when you raise your frequency and affirm that there is only God that exists here now, I am a divine, holy woman created by the divine. No, they don't want to hang out with you because you're no fun. They can't feed off of you.
And that is beautiful. and again, you put it so well with so much passion and love and empathy. It really does transcend, I think. And
awesome.
And thank you for that. Time is we're just running slightly over, but time has been wonderful. And I want to thank you. I want to thank you for your time, because I think that everybody in the room has got so much out of tonight.
It's been such a pleasure. I love your show. It's really fun.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, well, and I'll flip some people. Linda Rausch says, thank you for being a positive and clear teacher. Lovely energy.
Thank you.
Karen says, thank you so much to you all. And lots of other bits and pieces going on as well. And we've got some good numbers in there. And it's been, as Alison said, she just took the words right out of my mouth.
Awesome.
Brilliant.
Good girl, Alison.
It's been good. It's been amazing, and thank you for your time. We're gonna do some guided meditation and do a bit of a card reading. So if you'd like to stick around and come back later on, and if you want to join in the reading, that's great.
Sure.
But in the meantime, we're gonna just flip into the guided meditation. Katherine, I can't thank you enough, because you have been a true star this evening. I'm sure that so many people could say, we could go all night. I think it's been wonderful. Thank you. Wonderful. Thank you.
Spirit strong. Yeah. Talking away.
Yeah. So there's a lot of thank yous and there's a lot of love. So thank you for coming on, and we'll bring you back on in a few moments' time. Thank you, Katherine.
Okay. Love.
Thank you. Absolutely unbelievable, isn't it? And when you get so many great guests like we've had on this show, we've been truly blessed. We've been truly blessed. We're going to go into a bit of a guided meditation, and we've done it before, and I know it's a lot of people enjoy it. I did one on Friday night, and I think a lot of people got a value out of that as well. But this one's going to be it's going to be specifically about meeting your guide. Okay, so we're gonna do some meditation now about meeting your guide. Now, some people have a great relationship with their guides. Some people know who they are, work with them every day. Some people say they've never met them, or some people say that they'd love to meet them, but where do I find them? So there's lots of things goes on, and I always say that mediumship is like your thumbprint, really. No two thumbs are the same, and no two fingerprints are the same. And I think that's important to come across. We can all use techniques and we can all talk about our own experiences, but it's your own experience. It's how you see spiritualism or spirituality, mediumship, psychic, whatever the scenario is. So what we try and do is help you along your pathway, but inherently you're going to find your own way of doing things and enjoying that. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go into a guided meditation, and it's going to be about meeting your guide. So if we can all sit comfortably and just, get in the chairs, or if we're laying down, whatever we're doing is just get into that real comfortable position. Okay. I'm going to put a slide up now, which allows us to focus a little bit better rather than looking at me. All right. Okay. So if we're sitting in our chairs now, I'd like us just to close our eyes if we can. And as we close our eyes, I would like us just to take a deep breath in. And as we breathe in, I'd like you to hold that breath for a couple of seconds. And as we breathe out, we feel all the positive energy filling around us. We breathe in. And as we breathe in, we hold it there. And then we breathe out. And as we breathe out, we feel more and more relaxed, more and more comfortable, more and more connected. And as you sit in this chair now, you feel so wonderful, so connected, and so relaxed. I want us just to find that breath. I want us to find our own natural breath. And where that breath, where you can feel your jumper moving, or you can feel it through your nose, or whatever that is, you can always bring yourself back to that point. Breathe in, hold your breath, and then breathe out. We feel so relaxed, so connected, so wonderful. Now, as we sit here, I want us to imagine in our third eye that you or I are stood on a pathway, a beautiful pathway. To the right of us, there's a wonderful waterfall. The sound, the freshness, the air, nature, birds, you feel it all. It's a wonderful feeling of serenity. You know this is a very special place. It's a sacred time for us to be with ourselves. And as you look to the left, you see a pathway. And that pathway is lit by beautiful candles. And follow me, come with me as we walk along this pathway. We feel the sunshine coming through the trees, warming our faces. It's such a wonderful feeling. The energy is so positive. It's so full of love. And as we walk along the pathway now, just up ahead of us, we see a settlement, an Indian settlement. And in the middle of the settlement, there's a beautiful teepee looking at you. You feel as if you've been here before. You feel safe. You feel secure. You feel as if this is your time to spend a moment with Spirit. And as we walk up towards the teepee, you see the opening. We walk in. We take a deep breath. The energies, the beauty surrounds us, the wonderful smell of frankincense and incense burning. This is truly, truly a spiritual place. And as you look around, you see a wonderful cushion that is placed for you to sit down and spend some time in this very spiritual place. And as you sit down on this beautiful cushion, you feel so connected. You feel so at one. You ask Spirit to draw close. You ask your guides, your healers, your helpers, your inspirers to be with you at this precious time. And we ask for one of our guides to draw close, to materialize and help us and show us our pathway, our development. And I'm going to leave you here now for a few moments in this safe and secure environment for you to meet your guide. I'll be back soon. You feel the energies around you. You feel spirit, you feel the beauty. That special feeling of being at one with yourself, being connected. And as you look to your side, I'm stood there waiting for you. It's time for us now to leave the teepee, to make our way back to the pathway. And as we walk away from the settlement, we just turn around, we blow a kiss, and we say, till next time, my friends, God bless you and thank you. We walk along the pathway, the candles are flickering in the wind. You could hear the birds in the trees, the beautiful smell of nature. This is truly utopia. The feeling is exhilarating. This is a special time. And as we get to the end of the pathway, we look up. The sun is beautiful in the sky. And there is a very spiritual eagle watching over us, protecting us, and making sure that we're on the right spiritual pathway. God bless all of those for us. And what I'd like you to do now is just to come back onto your chair, wiggle your fingers, move your feet, take a deep breath in, and slowly but surely open your eyes. How did that go? I hope you enjoyed that. It was a lot of that was actually channeled, because I normally do a different type of one, but as I was in there, my guide was saying, no, we have to take him to the settlement. And I was like, okay, we'll go to the settlement. No worries at all. So I sort of changed it midstream there. So I hope you enjoyed it. And if you can put anything in the comments, how you felt and what did you see? Did you meet your guides? Did you feel your guides? Did you see colors? Did you see flashes? Or did you just enjoy being in the moment, enjoying just that Thursday evening where you've had maybe a stressful, difficult week, and it's just those moments for you? If you can pop your comments in, that will be great. We're also going to do a quick card reading. So I'm going to randomly select somebody now in the comments section. So I'm going to randomly select, and I have randomly selected Teresa Bird. Teresa, I'm going to do a card reading for you. Okay. So I'm going to shuffle, and I'm going to stop when my guide tells me to. And we have, by the wonders of modern technology, I hope that I can be able to put a card on the screen. There we go. Hope you can see that. Okay. It's card number 14, which is purification. Okay. Which tells me at the moment there's a lot of things going in your life. So you're getting back to wholeness. And I know you're starting to become more one with nature. You're feeling really starting to achieve what your heart truly desires. You're trying to get answers, and you're looking inside your heart, and you're starting to feel a lot more happier, and the way forward is starting to show itself to you. But sometimes just close your eyes and relax, and imagine a beautiful flame warm in your heart and soul, and feel its sort of purifying heat and glaze, and just feel those wonderful energies for you. Okay. And also I feel that you need just to sometimes take that time to yourself. Okay. Take that time where you can just relax and have those moments where you can re-energize your fire. Okay. Because I know you're a very, very busy person, and I know you do a lot of things for other people. So this card really is also showing that you need to spend some time to yourself. You need to give yourself some of that purification, relight that fire, and really energize yourself. I hope you enjoyed that card reading for you. I'm going to bring Katherine back in now. And hopefully that, as I said, by the wonders of modern technology, we can get her back. Katherine, are you okay?
Yes, it was a wonderful meditation. So beautiful.
Thank you. Well, I'm just going to go through some of the bits and pieces here for the meditation. Mandy Moo James says, I jumped out my skin when your voice came back. I was seeing so much. Teresa said, hi, that was lovely, very relaxing. Alison says, oh my God, I was crying with joy. I felt I was at home. My guide touched my hand. I didn't want to go. And Teresa said that she saw an Indian. And Andrea Jones said, really enjoyed, very relaxing, and saw lots of lovely colors. Sometimes I wonder about, modern technology and doing things online and whether or not there's that you can convey the energy and you can do things. But then what the wonderful thing is when you see the reactions of people and you see what it means to people and how it works. And I think technology used in the right way is a modern day blessing. I do think those social media is making us unsocial. So we just have to, there's times and places for everything. But I think tonight always has shown us really that there's so much we can do and so many lovely people who can share the energies. And I hope you've enjoyed it.
I was walking my dog this morning, Julian, and I often when I'm walking out in nature and with the dog, that's when messages come to me from spirit. And I just heard in my head, we are all connected by one gossamer thread, all of us, golden network of light, and every single soul. And when we remember to go back to that original connection, you're home, you belong, you're not different, you're not singled out, you're not alone. And the technology can help us feel that in the physical realm a little bit more. And that's where it's beneficial. But it's when our human selves abuse it that it becomes a problem. And what you did is real connection. You brought a group of souls together to reconnect to their divinity, their original state, and commune with the spirit realm and where they're really from and our true essence. And it's very beautiful.
And I thank you for that. And it's all possible because of wonderful lights and energies like yourself.
Yes,
and it's been an absolute pleasure. And I hope you've enjoyed it.
I have. It's a great show.
We'd love to get you on another time and
anytime.
And see how it's going. And of course, guys, if you're watching, please go onto Katherine's page, have a look at her website. She's doing some wonderful stuff, wonderful courses, wonderful healing, wonderful. She is a wonderful lady, and it's been a pleasure to have you on this evening. Take care, my love, and look after yourself.
Thank you, love. Be well, everyone. Namaste.
Namaste.
Bye-bye.
So there's Katherine. It's been an amazing evening. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's been another great show. I'm so honored and so pleased to have so many people support it, both in terms of guests, but also the audience. Thank you very much for being part of tonight's show. Over the next sort of 7 days, I've been working quite hard on creating a platform for us all to be a part of and to be able to comment and share and like in an environment that is enclosed to ourselves. And on Monday, I'm hoping to release some more information on a Light and Harmony community section whereby, we can do blogs and articles and forums and chat and everything to put together. So we can really bring a community together, a sense of community. So if you can just make sure that you keep a lookout for that over the next couple of days. And again, just thank you so much for your time this evening. I've really, really enjoyed it. God bless. And until next Thursday, have a great week. And just remember, be love and give love. Thank you very much and good night.